Hello and welcome to Talking Manchester United, a weekly podcast with myself, Paul Gardner, and joining me today is the one and only Andrew Southwick. Andrew, how are you, my friend?
Man, Paul, I'm actually I'm doing pretty good. I'm overall happy right now. Maybe everything isn't going completely our way, but I've got absolutely no reason to complain.
Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Other than the football, of course, you've got no reason to complain, and that's what I like to hear. We've also got Martin joining us. As you know, Martin is the guy who's done the new graphics for us, the new logo, etc. Martin, how are you?
Evening, chaps. I'm doing quite well. I'm intrigued to see how you guys thought last night went because I think there's quite a bit of a mixed bag from my point of view. But some people seem to believe that we were absolutely atrocious last night, and I don't know if I 100% agree.
I don't.
Well, let's get straight into it. I think I would agree with both of you there. I thought that. Well, I'm not going to say. My initial thoughts were after that game was okay. That's an improvement, but we still have the same. I mean, for spells during that game against Arsenal, there was some attacking intent, led quite often by Scott McTominay as well, picking up the ball and just charging forward with it. We didn't see enough of that in the game, throughout the whole game at least. But I thought that there was a lot more attacking intent in that game, which we haven't seen so much recently. But again, it's just that bit of quality in the final third that lets us down every time. It's more. It was more like more of the same of what we've been getting a lot, but just a slight improvement. What are your thoughts, Martin?
Um, I tweeted last night that I think that because of how badly we've played the past two games, the Rochdale one and the Europa League game, I didn't think we played that badly last night. Don't get me wrong. I think our front line is bad at the minute. You know, we're not creating enough chances. But I saw a lot of fight in there. I saw a lot of effort put in. I mean, Daniel James didn't stop running for the entire match. I thought McTominay looked very good. Too bad. I think we just lacked a bit of killer instinct in the box. We were putting balls in, and we weren't really attacking them. And I think that's why we're missing Martial as an out and out number 9. And clearly we're missing a proper centre forward. We know that getting rid of Lukaku and not replacing him was always going to come back to bite us. I wish Greenwood had got on. Maybe he's on the 60th minute. Or as soon as Arsenal got the equaliser, I think Greenwood should have come on. It was a bit too little, too late. If you're only going to give him, 15, 20 minutes, he's not really going to get too much into it. And the game was starting to open up. I thought it was perfect to, yeah, yeah, perfect to bring Greenwood in. I think 1-1 was probably properly finished with VAR. I do not understand the system at all. I don't know why the Premier League have adopted their own version of it when we've seen how it's used in, at the World Cup and the Champions League. If you're not going to review a decision that's blatantly, obviously wrong, then don't use it at all. I would have rather have had a controversial talking point of Arsenal's goal not being allowed than us not getting a penalty. 1-0 at that point. But yeah, that was it. I just think people were overreacting last night. People had written Arsenal off, that game off when we saw who was potentially going to be there for selection. On Friday, when Ollie gave his press conference, I think we were saying that Arsenal were going to wipe the floor with us, and actually, Arsenal were just as bad as us. But I don't think it was as bad a performance as people were letting on.
I 100% agree with you on that one. And I was one of those people as well before the game had completely written us off. And I was going based on how we performed in the last couple of games building up to this one. And looking at Arsenal's front line, which potentially could be lethal with the likes of Pepe, Aubameyang. Obviously, they had that Saka, who apparently is really good. I've never watched him play before. But with those three, the midfield isn't horrendous. And I just had that horrible feeling that we were going to go into this game, the players just weren't going to be up for it, and that it was going to be quite horrible to watch. And I did think that we were going to lose. I won't say heavily, but I did think it was going to be 2, maybe 3 nil to Arsenal. That was how I was feeling going into the game. Stupidly, probably, because most people will be thinking it's Arsenal coming to Old Trafford. Whenever that happens, whenever a big team comes to Old Trafford, the players do tend to step up, and that's usually the case. But I don't know why, but I was one of those people that yesterday, I think it just got to a point, I think it's getting to a point for a lot of fans at the moment where it's just like, when will this end? And the rot is starting to set in, I think. And it's starting to set in with me a little bit, and I hate to say it, but it just gets to a point where you just think, seriously, how much longer is this going to go on? But again, I was pleasantly surprised at just how the performance was. I mean, it wasn't great, it wasn't fantastic, it wasn't edge of your seat action all the way through, but I thought we were better than before. And Andrew, I don't know if you're still with us there, unless you're on the phone.
No, I'm here.
Give us your thoughts, my friend.
Honestly, I've been trying to just look at things from the positive light anyways, knowing that, we didn't get in any reinforcements, like in terms of midfielders or attacking talent. So I'm having a hard time being way too critical right now. I went into this game and I knew that what is Manchester United since Fergie left is that we'll struggle against teams that we shouldn't. And then we will always show up for the teams that we should. And it all comes down to a mentality thing. So I knew we would show up for Arsenal. I didn't necessarily think we would win, but I knew for a fact we weren't going to lose. Watching the game, and I actually went back and I watched it again last night because I was having a difficult time sleeping. No joke intended there. But really wasn't too upset with everything. The only thing that I was really upset about is, I decided on the second go around that I was going to watch and see who were the people that were giving full effort starters for the entire time they were on the pitch. And I saw max effort from the entire time was Axel Tuanzebe.
Yes.
Scott McTominay.
Yep.
Dan James.
Yep.
And Marcus Rashford.
Yep. I would agree with all of those.
Max effort doesn't necessarily mean that it came off. All of those people put in max effort for the full time that they were on the pitch, and it showed. I thought for the most part, other than a couple of little spells for Arsenal, I thought we pretty much controlled the game.
No, we did, absolutely. I mean, I think for the first half an hour, we had 70-something% possession. So yeah, we definitely dominated the game, absolutely.
We dominated pretty much most of the game. Other like I said, other than a couple little spells, they had a few threatening balls, and like Martin said, with no VAR, I mean, listen, you can't do it one way and then not do it the other. That's just my opinion. I think that the VAR non-decision for us, and then the VAR decision for them. I just am one that players see the offsides flag go up, they don't put in their full effort. You saw De Gea know.
The thing is that there is a saying that goes play to the whistle. So if you see the flag go up, you should still continue.
That is fair. That is fair. But I mean, you know as well as I do that people will see the flag go up and they won't try as hard. It's not that they're not trying, but they're not trying as hard. And I watched what Dave was doing. Dave put in the full effort into trying to save it. I think that he was trying to. At the same time, it's not like he was spreading himself out like he normally would.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I was slightly upset about is just I thought that the refereeing was horrible in general last night.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. He was atrocious, I thought. There were many times during that match when that whistle went, and he was giving fouls over the wrong way or blowing for fouls that weren't for fouls, and it was just like, what is this guy on?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Kevin Friend's always like though, isn't he? He's either card happy or he lets things go. I mean, Xhaka could have been sent off, and I think who for us could have been sent off. I can't remember who it was. There was someone. I think maybe it's even Lingard. I think Lingard didn't get a yellow card in the first half and then got one in the second, and he probably could have been off. There's a couple of challenges. Yeah. Kevin Friend kind of like I can't remember what the ref was called. He was a Geordie referee. Used to play all the time. He kind of like tries to show off a little bit to the players. You can hear him like mouthing off see him mouthing off to them when they're like complaining about decisions. He almost enjoys it. Time he's referee and just watch him when players think the decision's controversial. He enjoys it, and it just ruins the game. I think there's a few decisions he got really badly wrong. I think Arsenal could have had someone off, and so could we.
Well, and I will say this too. I'm not going to blame the refs for losing because we still had opportunities, and we just didn't take the opportunities that we had. But I mean, we'll get into the other stuff about the match. But those were my overall thoughts about the match.
Yeah, I do agree with you on all those players who you mentioned giving 110%. I think you could argue for all of them, really. I don't think there was a single player on that pitch who looked like he could have given more. I mean, in terms of effort, I mean, in terms of ability, I think some of them just aren't that good.
Well, no. So this is what I genuinely saw is I actually, like I said, I went and watched every single player, kind of like maneuver my eyes a lot. And there were times where guys were maybe taking a little bit of a break or taking a bit of a play off, maybe not hustling as hard. Because my thing is I'm watching and James run his butt off for the full 90. When I watch Marcus Rashford do the same thing, he's hurt and doesn't have the confidence right now. Like when I'm seeing guys that effort giving max effort, and then guys that like, and this is where I'm starting to like. I'm not against Paul Pogba by any means. Paul Pogba is still one of my favorite players in the world, but I feel like if Paul Pogba put in the same amount of effort that Dan James or Marcus Rashford put in, he would probably be the best player in the world right now.
I think with Dan James and Marcus Rashford, I think naturally, because of their position and the type of game we play, they would naturally look like they're giving more effort. And the reason I say that is because if we're pressing from the front, then they're the players that are going to be doing the most running. Players further back, not so much. I think Pogba, I was quite impressed with his defensive work rate at times during that game, because I've seen him a few times covering at the left back position. Well, not actually covering at the left back position, but he was getting back in that area and trying to make tackles, trying to dispossess the Arsenal players.
Do you not think with that though? Because when I've seen Pogba when he's played this season, do you not think he's playing too far, too defensively? It's positional.
Yes.
We were breaking yesterday. And I don't know whether it's a tactical thing or it's Pogba when he's labouring. But when we're breaking, Pogba isn't breaking his neck to join in the attack. And likewise, when he receives the ball off the defence, he's playing the ball and then he's staying. He's not moving. Maybe it's a tactical thing because obviously Scott McTominay was forward quite a lot yesterday. But surely, I mean, this might be because obviously we didn't bring in another like a defensive midfielder or a midfielder that we needed. It's almost like playing with Pogba, but playing with him at like 70% of what we know he can give. So as much as I want to be critical of him and saying he could do more, I think he's having to do more in that part of the pitch, and it's a shame because we know what he can do when he goes forward and join the attack. But there must be a worry about that protecting of the defence.
So now
because I noticed this when Fred came on, but is our best midfield in the pivot positions and then Pogba at the 10? Because what I noticed is when Fred came on, I saw more effort from Pogba, especially in getting forward.
I think Fred, McTominay, and Pogba, however you rotate them, I think they're our best. It's our best combination. Herrera offered quite a bit yesterday. People were saying he had a terrible game. I didn't see that. I thought he did all right. But I think physically, I think Fred gives you more than Pereira on the pitch, and I think Fred looks more comfortable on the ball. It's trying to strike a balance, isn't it? Does McTominay sit and you have, or do you have two sitting in Pogba at the top? I think it depends whether you're playing home or away. But I think, and we know for a fact, I just don't think we'll see them start all three together.
I think. No, hold on. You carry on. I was going to type a message to Liam in the chat.
Oh, he's got to enter into the general chat.
Yeah. Yeah, so with the Pogba playing in that midfield two, under Mourinho, he was playing in a midfield two. We played a 4-2-3-1 for the majority of Mourinho's tenure, and Pogba was often played in that too, in a defensive role as well. And it was a big thing for United, the fan base. We always complained about Pogba being played out of position. He shouldn't be being playing in a defensive two. He should be further forward. Then obviously Ollie comes in. We're playing 4-3-3. We've got Pogba on the left side, and it's not It wasn't a 4-3-3 that we're seeing now. Well, now it's more of a 4-2-3-1. Whereas before it was a 4-3-3, where the three in the midfield was a 1, and then the two attacking midfielders, and Pogba was playing as an attacking midfielder on the left, and it worked. We did really well. Then obviously over the pre-season, Ollie preferred to play a 4-2-3-1 using Pogba in the double pivot, but, and I'm pretty sure he did say this, although he is using him in that position and that he wants him to play in that position, he also has more freedom to get forward as if it was playing. So when we're in an attacking position, we're almost playing 4-3-3. Out of possession, we're reverting back to a 4-2-3-1, which that's normal in football. People revert to different systems, whether they're attacking or defending. That happens. That's normal. And in my head, that's what's supposed to be happening, but it doesn't seem to be happening anymore.
It could as well. I mean, he may not be 100% fit, so that's one thing. We'll probably give him on that level, is that obviously he's come back from injury against Rochdale and then he's played immediately again. So it just may be a case that he isn't fit. But I would like to see him just getting up the pitch a little bit more. Physicality. I mean, you saw him when Fred came on. He was doing a lot more in the field.
Yeah, I think Andrew was, well, one of you were just saying it about who we should have as a midfield three. And I think it was you, Andrew, talking about who would be in the double pivot. So, for example, for last night's game, I wanted to see Pogba playing in the number 10 role with McTominay and Fred behind. Ideally, with what we have at the moment, that's what I would like to see based on the system that Ollie likes to play. Ultimately, I'd rather see just one CDM, play a 4-3-3 like we used to, just with one CDM and then Pogba and Fred further ahead of McTominay. That's what I would like to see, or Fred behind McTominay. Either one. But Fred and McTominay are kind of similar, but I think Fred's just got that little bit more about him going forward. I think. I don't know. I've not seen enough of him yet.
Here's the thing, though, and this is just what I'm noticing from the 4-2-3-1 we're playing. It's not like Fred or whoever is playing in that two aren't getting involved. I mean, even when Pogba was playing deeper, I mean, there were times where our front line, our back line, were about 20 to 30 yards halfway line. Like you had Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof basically almost like past the edge of the circle.
Yeah, I think it's just going back to what Martin was saying earlier about Pogba not getting forward enough. Like he'll play the ball off, but then you won't see him charge forward to follow the play. And I think that's more what I was getting at. But you see it. Yeah. You did see a lot of that from McTominay. Like I said earlier on in the podcast, a lot of our, when we were attacking, a lot of those attacking phases were brought on by the fact that McTominay would pick the ball up and charge forward with it. Didn't always do anything particularly good with it, obviously apart from the goal, but he did get the team forward quite often, and that's what we normally would see from Pogba. But again, like you said, Martin, it could be that he's still carrying a bit of an injury. Maybe he's not fully fit. I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, I think that's probably the case. So, because we've got Europa, haven't we, this Thursday?
We have.
Yep.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see who plays the midfield, because I think Rashford and Pogba probably weren't fully fit for the Arsenal game. I think they probably done Ollie a favour playing last night, because that they weren't going to be fit on Friday. It's not a big turnaround to Monday to say that you're going to be match fit. So it'd be interesting to see who plays in the Europa, because I imagine we'll probably see Matic, Fred, either Pereira or Mata, I reckon.
So let's talk about Rashford for a moment, because him, Greenwood and Ollie are probably the three most mentioned names around Manchester United at the moment. As we know, Rashford went off injured. What was the game he went off injured in? Was it West Ham?
No, it was Rochdale.
Yes, that's right, yeah. But I think even before that, people wanted him rested for Rochdale because he was playing too much. He looked unfit. Then obviously against Arsenal, people wanted Greenwood to start. What are your thoughts around that? The fact that Ollie continues to pick Rashford week in, week out, despite the fact that he's clearly not 100% fit, he's out of form. Whereas Greenwood, full of energy, hasn't played that many minutes, has scored our last 2 goals before McTominay scored that one last night. What are your thoughts around that? Is Ollie too afraid to drop Rashford? Is he trying to, because Ollie was saying all this during the summer about how he's working with Rashford on his finishing and things like that, is there a sense of pride in there? Or do you think he's just trying to protect Greenwood because of Greenwood's age and the fact that he doesn't want Greenwood to have that kind of responsibility? What are your thoughts?
I think
it's a combination.
You go ahead, Andrew.
I mean, I do think it's a combination of those couple things. I think he doesn't want to give Mason the full-on responsibility. Goodness gracious, leave me alone, people. Point with like Mason Greenwood, where he's be the main guy, and if we don't, you almost need to be careful with that, because you don't want to wind up having him become like Rashford, kind of, overplaying him, and then wind up, having him either lose confidence or whatever. But at the same time, I think that there's a lot of people that believe that the best way for a striker to get confidence is to keep playing. And I think it's kind of a hard one, because you have to kind of ride a very fine line. But I think that at the very least, Marcus shouldn't have been starting. But when Anthony Martial is finally back, I do think that we will start to see a bit more of what we need to see.
I just want to say quickly as well. Sorry, Martin. Just 1 second. Liam in the chat, in the Discord chat, has just said, "Is he really a number 9 though?" Now, before recently, well, no, actually, no. I still do think it. I do think he is a number 9. You think when he burst on the scene, that was the position he played, and he scored that. There's 2 against Arsenal in his first Premier League game. Was it a Champions League or Europa League game? Before that, I forget now, but he scored 2 in that as well.
He scored in the Europa on his debut, and then he scored for Arsenal, and then he scored against City as well.
Yeah, in those positions, those goals that came, he was playing as number 9, and for me, he's one of our best players when it comes to running, staying on the shoulder of the last man and making runs in behind. And when he's on form, his finishing is absolutely brilliant. Now, when he plays in the left wing or the right wing, every now and again he might skin a player, but players for Burton do that every now and again. but he's not consistent enough playing on the wing. He just runs into players, and we've seen a lot of that from Martial as well, which is why I think because I used to think that Martial wasn't the number 9, but beginning of this season, I was thinking, actually, do you know what? He's actually pretty good playing at number 9 at the moment, whereas before when he's played at number 9, he's been absolutely shocking and often drifted out wide. But for me, at least anyway, Rashford is definitely a number 9. So yeah, thanks for your contribution, Liam, and also Josfa and Torquay. I know you've joined us as well. Feel free to get involved in the conversation in the chat as well. Martin, continue. Sorry, mate.
I think from what you guys are saying there's one thing. Right, when Rashford came in with Van Gaal, yes, he was playing number 9. Then obviously Jose played him a lot, but played him on the wing. There's an argument that he's potentially lost a little bit of in terms of staying in that position. But for me, Martial is the better finisher. I've said it multiple times on this, is that I think Martial's your number 9. For me, Rashford has to have someone playing with him who is equally going to make the runs to open up the space. Playing on the shoulder. My problem with Rashford is at the minute is that I think he believes he's the finished article, and he's not doing the basics right. Going to play number 9 and the ball's going to come at the box. He's got to gamble more. There's so many times when you see the ball come in and he's either out of position or he's running away from where he should be. There's a corner yesterday for Arsenal and he ran out of the way from where the ball was going to come, and then when it did land at his feet, he wasn't ready for it. And again, it's whether he's played too many games and he's not fit. I don't know. He seems a mile away from where we all think he should be,
and from where he used to be. Make a good point there as well. And Liam again has just made another good point, saying that Rashford. This is about Rashford. It's just he's outside of the box a lot when we cross the ball in. Now it ain't just him. What I've noticed as well, and again this is a complete contrast to what it was like when Ollie first joined us. When we were attacking, we were committing players inside the box when crosses were coming in. But now I've noticed as well is when we have got the ball in a wide position, if someone's making a run down the wing, they've got the ball and they're about to play a crossing, there's no one there. And every single time we're always looking for the cutback. Every time. It's almost like that's what they're working on in training. That's what Ollie's got them doing. Because we're not
hitting the cross first time. There's so many chances. There's so many times where you've got either Luke Shaw or Wan-Bissaka or a position to cross the ball in, and they always have to check back because we've got no one forward. And that's again, I think you've got now. Rashford drifts out to the wing, and obviously we haven't with Daniel James and who was playing right on the right yesterday. Was that Pereira?
Pereira played there, yeah.
We haven't got enough in that front three. You look at the likes of Liverpool. You've got Mane, Firmino, you've got Salah, you've got players who are going to commit forward. You look at City. There's always at least one person in the box and someone coming up. Number 9, or supposedly number 9, and Rashford is the person who's coming out to collect the ball in the wing. The attack breaks down. You can see where our threat is, and obviously that was where we got the goal yesterday. We're a threat on the break. We've got pace, but we haven't got an outright number 9 or centre forward who is going to stay in position. And I'd even give the argument that Martial is not that person. He's probably the best person that we have currently at the minute. Forward that, Rashford and Martial aren't the centre forwards for us. We need someone else in there, and those two to play along with them, in my opinion.
What I noticed from really watching everything yesterday is that there's a tendency to kind of go more out wide when he's doing things, whereas Martial has the tendency to cut inside.
Yep.
To me, I think that kind of spells where these guys should be going in their career, and that's that Martial probably should be playing centrally and being a 9, or at the very least, kind of rotate and get kind of in a sense that free-flowing attacking front three that I think that Ollie's trying to have and build. To me, I think he is probably suited to be a winger because he can play on the shoulder of the last guy, make those runs, come down the line, and then either get in the box when need be. He's not the worst at putting in a cross. We just need guys to actually be in the box for those crosses.
Yeah.
I feel like that kind of spells where their futures are going, and I feel like it's the same thing with Mason Greenwood. That Mason Greenwood definitely likes to play more centrally. He can play wide.
He can, but I just feel like he's wasted there. I think he needs to be, sort of on the penalty spot around the edge of the box, because he can hit him with both feet. We know that all he needs is a foot gap. He doesn't even need that much. He can just hit it and he finds the net, and that's what you need from a centre forward, a number 9, a typical number 9. It's just a shame that he's only 17, because I think if he was a couple of years older, I think Ollie'd be using him a lot more.
Oh, I think that if he was 19, 100%, he would probably be starting match in, match out right now, without question. I really do think that Ollie's trying to protect him. That's all.
I think on Thursday he has to start, though. I think he has to start in the number 9 position. I think you can rest Rashford. I think play Lingard, possibly bring either Chong. You could play Chong as well, so you could literally have Lingard as your front three. Leave Rashford out, because if Rashford starts on Thursday, he starts at number 9. So then Greenwood's going to play out on the right wing, and he's not as effective. It's just a bit of a waste, in my opinion.
Yeah, Rashford needs to be left out of that squad completely for Thursday. In fact, I think Greenwood will start. I'd even put Gomez on the left, and then you could put Chong on the right or Lingard on the right, so you've got a bit of experience there at least. But yeah, I think because when we played Spurs in pre-season, I'm pretty sure Gomez played on the left. That was the position he came in from, at least anyway, when he scored his goal. So I think you could play Gomez out there, even at number 10. But I think you have to play these players and just at least give Rashford a rest. He needs to be out of that squad on Thursday, just not even on the bench.
Yes. Oh yeah. More, even if that means you have to bring in a kid from the U23 squad to play on the bench. I don't care. Give Rashford a break. Honestly, I would say don't play him in this one, or play him, or don't play him against Newcastle on the weekend. I wouldn't play him in either match.
No, I think that's fair. I think if Greenwood has a good game against AZ Alkmaar, if he gets a goal, or even if he just has he doesn't even necessarily need to score. If he has a good game, has a few shots on target, tests the keeper, gets himself into good positions, makes good runs, if he genuinely has a good game, he should also start against Newcastle. But it's whether Ollie would do that or not. And we'll come on to Ollie in just a moment. But yeah, Joshua in the chat is saying, I believe Rashford is more of a winger or a false 9. He does not play well when opposing teams that sit deep. To be fair, I don't think any of our players seem to play well if a team sits deep. I think when a team sits deep, you want players like Gomez in there who can just literally just run at the defenders with the ball at his feet. Cause that's what he's best at, is keeping the ball at his feet. Do you know what I mean? I think if you're going to play teams that sit deep, you want players like Gomez. It's a shame we haven't got more players like that, really. Liam, he's fatigued as well. Yep, that's definitely. And also Liam, pressure because of the contract. There is a lot of pressure on Rashford's shoulders at the moment, because he has been burdened with the pressure of scoring goals now that Lukaku's gone. That will be on him as well. The fact that he's out of form and he's missing chances, it's going to build up and build up and build up. So again, another reason for Ollie just to pull him out and say, look, have yourself a rest. Go and have some training sessions back at Carrington. Come back and we'll put you back in a week or two once you feel a bit better. In the meantime, get Greenwood in there. Get Greenwood some game time, some minutes. Give him a chance to score a couple of goals. If he does, that might egg Rashford on a bit more. All of a sudden, you've got two players fighting for the same position. We might see a reaction from Rashford that way. So at the moment, he's got no competition. That's another thing as well. Not only has he got pressure for the contract, fatigued, but he's not really got any competition at the moment for that number 9 role, other than Martial, who's been out injured for a while and is not looking to return anytime soon, apparently.
The one thing I'll give Rashford, and I'll agree with Andrew, is that he's trying. I mean, he was putting himself about all match yesterday. The competition. I don't think he's got. It's almost like he's got too much trust distilled in him, where he thinks he's sort of untouchable. But I'll bring it back to what I think it was either the end of last season or the start of this season. We're talking about expectations. Not confident that either Martial or Rashford are going to break the 15 goal mark each this season, and we're going to really struggle for goals. It's going to, if anyone's thinking that it's bad now, it's still going to get worse before it gets any better. In terms of games look like, and our away form's not great. Squad's quite thin, so Rashford possibly does need to be left out. But then the other side of that is we haven't got much depth. He kind of has to play, and it's as annoying as that is. We're saying he needs rested. He probably needs rested on Thursday to come in. I'd play Rashford over Lingard any day. Martial doesn't look like he's going to be fit, or we may get news about that. But if it's Rashford or Greenwood or nothing else, do you know what I mean, at the minute? So it's slightly worrying, but I think we knew this at the start of the season.
Well, and so here's the other thing. I mean, we talked about this before going live, but a lot of people forget that, Marcus Rashford, yes, he's on big money now and he's been playing for 5 years, but he's still a 21-year-old. All of you that are around 30 years of age, to when you were 21, millions of people telling you that you suck. Group of people that are probably the majority are saying, hey, we believe in you, kid, but they also are willing to be like, hey, what? Like, think about if people were telling you sucked all the time at 21. How would your confidence be? Your boss was saying in your job, you're still a 21-year-old kid. Going to be taking a lot. If you're taking a lot of criticism, it's going to have an effect on you.
And this is another reason why he needs to pull him out.
Yeah, I agree.
If he's refusing to pick Greenwood because of his age, and he wants to protect him, if we're thinking, I mean, there's two sides to this coin. You could say, yeah, he's only 21, he's still young, but at the same time, he's been first team regular for 3-4 years now. It's not like he's not had a chance, he's not had the experience, and what have you. I mean, there are two sides to that coin. But again, like the point you make there, if he is only 21, if he does need protecting, then why is he not protecting him? I mean, you say we're short on options. Like, well, you could rotate them, a couple of games here, a couple of games there, until one of them. We were talking about this a little while ago, a couple of weeks ago actually. We were talking about Rashford and Martial rotating in that number 9 position, and I said then that we could see that until one of them makes that position their own. Until one of them starts, emerges as the one that's scoring the most goals and being the most effective in that position, we could also see the same going on with Rashford and Greenwood.
Hello?
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay, yeah, just it went really quiet. I know that one issue that is that if you have too many people in the chat, that sometimes it can kind of like get a little with being able to hear people.
Okay. No, there was a few seconds of silence there, but there is only 6 people in the chat. I've seen Discord servers with like 30 people.
Yeah,
so we should be okay.
Yeah, I don't know when that number is that you start running into some issues, but yeah, I completely agree, and I think that we need to. Still does need protecting, but I think that Ollie behind the scenes is just telling him like, hey, I need you right now because we're running low on options, and I'm sure that he understands that Greenwood as well, and Greenwood is our future at the attacking positions. He is the real deal. You can see it in the way that he plays the game. He's the one that truly needs protecting. Because I think you can make the argument that when the squad continues to get better, that Marcus Rashford probably will become kind of like Ollie and become a super sub, and when the squad gets better.
Well, let's move forward then. Let's talk about Ollie a little bit, because we've mentioned Rashford, we've mentioned Greenwood. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the other name that's on everyone's lips at the moment. After the Rochdale game, even after the Arsenal game, there were a lot of fans. Now, they aren't a majority. Let's just make that clear at the moment. They're not a majority, but there are a lot of them who think that Ollie needs to go. He doesn't have the tactical nous to be able to take Man United forward. We're currently sitting 10th with a team that should really be challenging for top 4, at least in the top 6. I mean, what are your thoughts? Is this too reactionary? Have people got a point? Is he really the guy that has what it takes to take us back to where we need to be? Martin, what are your thoughts?
Ollie out now, then you should have been Ollie out in the summer. I think too reactionary. We've got a really thin squad, and we knew that at the start of the season. And then we've had some to the squad. It's kind of derailed what we did in pre-season, and then we've not really. I don't feel like we've really kicked off yet in the season. We've had some really poor performances. I think the Rochdale one and the one against Astana was pretty crap, if I'm honest. But to relax a little bit. You need to have some patience. People are wanting the finished article yesterday. It's step away from social media. Have your own opinion, and don't just jump to the fact that things are going bad, so therefore we need a new manager.
But I don't even think it's people wanting the finished article now. I think people just want to see some sort of progress. Which let's be fair. If anything, we've seen the opposite.
Yeah, but again, I go back to the fact he's brought in 3 players. We've got rid of a lot of deadwood. Not going to see progress overnight. It takes time. I mean, I don't think we're gonna end up being relegated or anything like that. But the thing for me is that people are looking at it at a game at a time, and as soon as things go bad, it's right. He's got to go, or we need to have a change. Another manager coming in will get that team playing like Man United of old. No, because then they'll want to make changes. There'll be another blueprint. It will just be in this merry-go-round of manufactured and expensive, expense to change that squad again. I'm honestly not concerned as long as I can see that progress, but it's not going to happen overnight. So people jumping on and saying he's sound. I don't think we know what this squad can do yet, and it needs to be given time. If I'm honest.
I do like the point you made there as well, because that is progress, and that's the fact that we have got rid of a handful of deadwood. I mean, there are some that are still there, but obviously you can't get rid of all of them straight away. That's just absolutely absurd, especially when you think of how bare the squad is already. You can hear me okay, guys? Can you hear me okay? Yeah? Yeah. So that in itself is progress. We have got rid of some deadwood. We've been screaming for that to happen for the last 6 years. It didn't really happen under Mourinho. It didn't happen under Van Gaal. Most of the deadwood was brought in by them, let's be fair, especially Van Gaal and Moyes, the biggest bit of deadwood, Marouane Fellaini. But that was the first bit of business that Ollie done when he came in, was offloaded Marouane Fellaini, and I think that's probably the best bit of business he's done since he arrived. But yeah, that is one. That's probably the biggest bit of progress we've seen, because that is something that we were desperate to do, is offload some of that deadwood. Andrew, thoughts?
Oh yeah, no, and that's the biggest thing, is that we took a relatively thin squad in terms of talent, and then got rid of players. Injuries be picked up. It's just like everybody was talking about how and we talked about this last week. We talked about this last week, how the season was talking about how they're Glazer out, Woodward out, blah 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 blah, and all of a sudden people are changing their damn mind, and they think that it's all on Ollie, that the team that picked up injuries, backup players in, sudden going to just show up and start acting like they're a world beater. I mean, let's be real, guys. The only coach that might be available here soon is Pochettino, but Pochettino was the guy that everybody was saying is basically like Ollie, that he hasn't done anything. He hasn't won anything. I'm sorry. What do you want? Because that's going to be the guy. Like, if we're going to get a new guy, Pochettino's going to be the new guy. Same thing. The guy's going to want to bring in his people. He's going to want to do his thing. It's going to be an entirely new system. Where did people's patience go?
And that is a very good point as well that you make there. If another manager comes in, the process starts all over again. This process has just started, and like Martin's just pointed out, there has been progress already in terms of getting rid of Deadwood that might not have happened under Pochettino. He might not have done that. We don't know. We probably won't know. But yeah, that was a good point to make.
Pochettino is realistically the only guy that I could see us getting rid of Ollie for our next manager. That's the only guy I could see us making a change for. And Pochettino and Ollie are going to play a relatively similar style. What Ollie wants to do when he has the talent to be able to do it, he just as good, if not better, than what Pochettino's doing. Ollie will at least, be able to have in place what he already wants. It's not going to take the extra, window and a half to be able to get his system implemented. Like I said, I don't know where people's patience went, because and this is something that in American sports that I talk about. You need to give a coach 3 years to be able to institute their game plan and bring in their players. In college athletics, and especially in American football, coaches in college will typically get 4 years. Gives them an opportunity to bring in an entire graduating class of their own to implement what they want to do in a system. In the NFL, you typically get 2 to 3 years to be able to draft and institute do. And if you're not, it's not like in like the NFL. In the Premier League, where you get a new 7 to 8 players plus free agency every year. You get guaranteed 7 players in a draft that are going to be rookies. Free agency that happens. You have to give the guy time, and especially if he's only going to be getting in at a max 3 players at a time in the summer. And then, if we're lucky, maybe we'll get a player in January. Maybe we'll get 2 in January.
I don't know why, but I'm confident that we'll bring 1 or 2 in January. I think we need to. And if Ed Woodward is to be believed when he says that he has faith in Ollie, he's going to give Ollie the time he needs, he backs the long-term plan, then he has to bring somebody in January if he wants to keep United. Because I'm not going to go into share prices and things like that. There is a correlation between the performance on the pitch and the share price. When they say it's not, there is, and it's been proven. But I'm not going to go into all that. But if they want to keep United, profitable to the max, they have to bring us back up, and or at least keep us up in the reach of the top 4. And if they want to keep that, they have to be bringing in 1 or 2 players in January. And I've got a feeling that they will.
I really think that there is the potential that we will see a striker brought in January. I think that Haaland from RB Salzburg.
Yes. Yep.
I think we'll see him brought in January, depending on if they are still in Champions League. And then I really realistically could see us bringing in a midfielder, potentially James Maddison.
I would love that. And I think Martin would as well.
That was a January transfer window. We got James Maddison and Haaland in those 2 windows. Oh my God!
Actually, I'm I'm absolutely crying out for James Maddison to sign for Man United. I wanted him like this time last year. I wanted us to sign him before like he had that season with Leicester. I think he looks absolutely class in terms of just ball passing, shooting. It's I don't know. It just remind I don't know. He just reminds me of like David Beckham in his earlier days, but he's got a bit more pace about him. Just one thing going back to what we're saying about obviously the Ollie out thing. Something that people really need to obviously understand as well is that at the minute there are a lot of big Man United social accounts, whether it be on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, whatever, and they're clickbaiting fans because they're alluding to the fact that they're not happy with Ollie and things have got to change. But then when they're talking about them, whether it be on a podcast or a video or in tweets or anything, they're backing them. But it's getting people to click in, and then people are going, "Oh, I'm really upset with Ollie as well. I'm gonna," and it's absolute nonsense. Have your own opinion. If you're Ollie out, great, and you can justify it, fine. But you really need to give it time and don't be drawn into other people's opinions, because half the time it's a load of nonsense. I've seen it for weeks and weeks and end on Twitter from big Man United accounts, and they're saying they've had enough and all this, and then the next week it's come on Reds, support your team. Absolute bullshit. So please don't get drawn into it.
Well, I mean, go on, Andrew. Sorry.
No, I just said agree.
Oh, well, I'm encouraged by what both of you have said, because I too think it's ridiculous to be saying Ollie out at this point. I do get some of the concerns. For example, the way we've been setting up. It's not like he did. It's like he's afraid. Now he's got the job, he's afraid to lose. And I've seen that phrase thrown around a lot. It sounds ridiculous, but when you think about it, you got to think to yourself, when he came in, he didn't have that fear. All his job was to bring back the feel-good factor, make the players happy to play football again. There were no expectations, so he wasn't afraid to have that attacking 4-3-3 formation, not quite gung-ho football, but you know what I'm saying. And it seems like this season, it's a lot different for him, so he's changed the system. It is more of a defensive system when you think of the 4-2-3-1 and the two CDMs. And that's the only thing that I've got a concern with is why do that? It was working so well for you when you first started. Obviously, yeah, I know that you had that problem in the second half of the season, or the second half of his half of the season, where it sort of went a bit pear-shaped. But again, there were injuries at that point. Martial went out when he was on a bit of form. I think Pogba was out as well. There was 3 or 4 players out, and that sort of, the chemistry was gone then at that point between that regular 11 that he played. And it just seems for me that this season he's too afraid to go for it with that same formation again. Go for that attacking football. It's what we want. We want that. Go on, Andrew.
I fully disagree with that. I don't. I think that there is some fear, and I think that some of it comes down to maybe he doesn't trust all of his players, and he's working with what he's got. Hopefully. I mean, and who knows what he's being told behind closed doors?
The thing is, though, he's got. I mean, we've been playing 4-2-3-1 since the beginning of the season. Since the beginning of the season, or at the beginning of the season, we had Pogba, we had Martial, we had Rashford, James, McTominay has been in pretty decent form this season. We've got players who he believes in, and that performed well in that system. So why would he not believe in them now? Why would he not play that system now? Unless I'm not understanding what you're saying.
Well, I mean, it comes down to the injuries that have happened. He lost his number 9 in Anthony Martial. He lost his best left back.
Yeah, but that didn't happen. I mean, we still had 3 or 4 games before those players went out. And
Martial went out after the game, not the Wolves game, after the Wolves game.
Yeah, okay.
I thought that's what Martial.
Yeah.
Then Luke Shaw went out in that game as well, and then Paul Pogba went out the game after that. Like, Paul Pogba's just coming back from injury. He's played 2 games since coming back from injury. We're seeing see when players are fully fit what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean that was the only concern I had. But I mean, at the beginning of the season, I was enthusiastic about the 4-2-3-1. I thought it could work. When I was under the impression that players would have the freedom to go forward, but we just aren't seeing that at the moment. So now I'm wondering if 4-2-3-1 is the right way to go. But like you say, we've got players to come back. We've got Shaw to come back. We've got Martial to come back. Pogba, if he's not at full fitness yet, then we've still got the best of him to see. Wan-Bissaka has been out for the last couple of games. Well, he was out the last game, but when he plays, we know that that's going to give us a chance. So yeah, there are players to come back, key players. Hopefully, we will see some improvement then. But that's essentially the only concern I have is how he will approach games going forward. If he changes again and he can get the team playing on the front foot, he can get the team with players to get them thinking to themselves, right, we're in possession, let's get forward. Right, so and so's making run down the wing. The ball's going to be played in a minute. Let's get in the box. Let's not all sit around the edge of the box waiting for the cutback, which inevitably will be played, but then not get through. We see this so many times, and that's what frustrates me. It needs to change. The way we attack needs to change.
Yeah,
that's the only thing. That's the only doubt in my mind. I have no doubt that he'll bring in the right players. He knows the type of player he wants, and he's proved it with Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, and James. They've been absolutely brilliant for us, all three of them. It's not very often you can see say that three signings in one window have been successful, but they have. There's no doubts about that. So I have no doubts that he will bring in the right players and get rid of the right players. The only concern I've got at the moment is if he can get them playing the right system, get that right mentality back into them that he had them playing when he had no pressure, when there was no expectation. He needs to bring that back again. If he can do that, then fine. If we lose a game if we draw 0-0 to Southampton, or if we lose 1-0 to Chelsea, but we're playing that kind of football, those one-off results aren't going to matter too much. As long as we're winning the majority of the games playing that football, the results like that ain't going to matter. But at the moment, we get a result like that, playing the way we are, that's when the meltdowns happen.
Yeah, no, and that is the reason why the meltdowns are happening, is because you're not playing well against certain people. But got to give the guy time. Give the guy time to implement his system. But there is somebody I do want to talk about that we haven't talked about yet.
Go on.
Zabi was an absolute animal at left back yesterday, a position we've never seen him play before.
Yeah, I was quite surprised when I seen him playing at left back. I think everybody expected him to be at right back.
Yep.
Been decent since the Astana game. He hasn't done anything wrong at all. I think he looks quality. He looks really good.
Lindelof will be looking over his shoulder.
I want to start at the weekend at center back if everybody is back and healthy.
So I don't know about anyone else, but
I probably would, but I don't think Ollie will, because I think he's gonna I was going to say Anders Lindelof.
There's a blast.
Honestly, I couldn't. Exactly. If Lindelof's fit, I think he's going to keep that partnership. But I would throw back again, because I don't think is Shaw going to be fit. I'd just say keep him in. If he's playing well, keep him in.
I don't disagree. I think at the very least you got to keep him in, because it's defensively he's outshining Lindelof. He made one poor pass yesterday, but Lindelof has been making poor passes for a long time. And there was one that specifically stood out at the end of the game where he went to go play it across the field and he just literally skyrocketed it.
Yeah, that was like in like the 87th minute when you were thinking, oh, we might nick something here, and it was like one of the last kicks of the game, wasn't it? When you absolutely rosetted it across the pitch.
Oh yeah. I can't tell you how much I'm in love with Axel Tuanzebe and what he's been doing when he's gotten his chances. I mean, it's the definition of a guy taking his opportunity and running with it. He has shown up, he's performed, and I really realistically think that he is giving Ollie a second thought about who needs to play when everybody is fully fit.
Do you know, I kind of feel sorry for the likes of Chong, Greenwood, and Gomez, because when you look at Axel Tuanzebe, we've had a lot of centre backs at any given time. 6 centre backs, I think we had until, or maybe even 7 until this summer. So Tuanzebe kind of was forced to go out on loan, and those couple of years out on loan at Villa have done him the absolute world of good. And it just makes me think, if we had decent strikers, decent attackers, I'm wondering if the likes of Chong and Greenwood and Gomez would be out on loan spells this season, developing their games, playing week in, week out, and they could have come back in 2 years' time at the age of 19 and 20 in a better way than they are now. It's just, I think that's the right way to go about it. I think is loans for these players. It's just a shame that we're so weak at that. In that department, that they're kind of forced to stay and just play, in the weaker cup games.
You could still see 1 or 2 of them go in January for 6 months. Do you know what I mean? I think it's still an option there. I think he made that decision, didn't he, before pre-season, that they were going to be part of pre-season, they were going to be part of the team. We may have had that conversation, because I think Axel said it in the Astana pre-match press conference. He said that him and Ollie had a conversation.
Yeah.
They both decided the best thing was for him to stay. So I'm imagining he's had that conversation with all the other players. But, Chong, Greenwood, Gomez, they're young. So even if this season it doesn't work out for them, they don't break into the squad properly, what are they going to lose a year? They can still go out and have a season somewhere and still come back, as you say, 19, 20-year-olds. And you'd still even be saying they're very young. I mean, look at Tammy Abraham. Tammy Abraham was has been at Chelsea for years, and he's breaking onto the scene now. But he's done his time around, so I don't think it's the end of the world. I think this you can see the positive that they're around the squad, and if Ollie's going to be there for the next year, 2 years, get to know him, they get to trust him, and he says, right, now's the time for you to go away, go have a season elsewhere. They know that it's not like they just boot them out. Because we've seen managers do that. I mean, with Adnan Januzaj, obviously when Moyes left, he was just sent off on loan. Not that I ever thought he was going to be a star player. Do you know what I mean? But you do get this thing when you've got the youth and a new manager comes in and they just send them off on loan because they've got nothing to do with them. Surely that gives them players a bit of hope that, look, I'm going to pull you from the youth squad with us week in, week out, and when you get your chance, you'll get your chance. So I can see the positive, and I can see what you're saying is that it would be good for them to be on loan. But at this moment in time, obviously they've made the decision, and I can, you've got to say it's a positive that they're with the squad. They're still going to learn.
Yeah, very true. And I guess, well, we'd had no choice, really, did we? I mean, who else have we got? That's the point I'm trying to make, is that there was no choice. I do honestly think that if we had, let's say, for example, over the 3 years that Rashford and Martial have been with us, if they've been prolific goal scorers, 20 plus a season, 15 at least, I do think that maybe with one or two additions to that attacking line over the last couple of seasons, I think we definitely wouldn't have seen Chong, Greenwood, and Gomez in the squad this year. They would probably be out on loan. I think that's the point I was getting at, is that's where Tuanzebe has thrived, benefited from it. Yeah, is the fact that he's gone away and he's come back absolutely solid, not put a foot wrong, pretty much since he's returned. And I just think, but you at the same time, you are right, Martin. After this season, if we do end up bringing in a couple of reinforcements in that attacking line, then maybe we will see 1 or 2 of them go out on loan. So there is still a chance that could happen. I just think that that is what needs to happen. and it's just a shame that we're in that position. We couldn't send them out to do that now.
And also, I'll say this too: Chong for me is the guy that really does need to go out on loan. I've seen Angel Gomez enough to know that I think that he needs to be given game time at Manchester United. He is the one that he was the one that I was originally the most comfortable with. And I just think that now he's the one that he actually just needs game time. And I just don't think at the moment he's going to get it.
Yeah.
But Angel Gomez, to me, I think that his biggest problem right now is that he keeps getting injured at the absolute worst times. A nagging injury. Because I think that the games he has started, how good he actually is. And in the Rochdale game, he showed it in just some of his close control and being able to create chances. And he needs that. He needs time. He needs minutes. And if he's not going to, like, for either or, if they're not going to get him with us, then they need to get minutes, period. Just regular game.
Yep. Well, we've hit the hour mark, so I think we need to start wrapping it up, or hour and 6 minutes to be precise. We have had a couple of tweets on the Talking Manchester United podcast Twitter account. One from Sean Pring. He says, "I know it's early in the season, but do you think we will stick with Ollie for another season if we finish mid-table? Also, is our best chance for Champions League football winning the Europa League?" I do think we will stick with Ollie for another season, even if we do finish mid-table. I think the words that have come out of Ed Woodward's mouth would suggest that, and I think we should as well. I think we can't just keep, like I mentioned earlier to Martin, we can't just keep changing the, well, I actually think it was Martin's point, or maybe have been Andrew's point. It was Andrew's point. If we do change the manager, the process starts again. We can't keep doing that. I think that the Ed would be doing the right thing to settle with Ollie. Ollie's got the right vision. I believe in his vision. He's got to give him the chance to do it. And 100% winning the Europa League is our best chance for Champions League. I don't know if you guys have any different thoughts to that.
I agree with the manager thing. If anyone thinks we're going to be in the Champions League next season, good luck, because we ain't finishing fourth. I'm just being a realist.
Because at a certain point, if we're not going to be challenging for top four, we'll prioritize it. We'll play our better players. So, but I would just go as simple as to say yes and yes. I think we're sticking with Ollie at least for, another summer transfer window and giving him, what he wants, barring us being in relegation form. Like if we're in relegation zone, then I could see us maybe making a change. But I don't see us being in relegation zone. So that after that, Europa League is easily our best chance to the Champions League, and I could see us at a certain thing. So let's see what happens.
Liam McGibbon, he says in January, Fellaini left. At the start of the summer, Herrera was gone. Then Pogba started to play games of wanting to leave. With all of this happening, why didn't we bring in a midfielder? It is a good question. We do wonder why we didn't bring in a midfielder. We were heavily linked with Fernandes amongst other people that were available and were open to come in. Honestly, I cannot think of a reason as to why we didn't bring in a midfielder. There are people that say that we're only working on one deal at a time, and it took the whole summer to get the 3 deals we did get done. I disagree with that. I don't think we work on one deal at a time. I do think multiple deals are worked on at a time. I just think that, we're going a long way about it. What are your thoughts?
I think we've got an inept chairman, or not chairman, but with Ed Woodward, I don't think he's the right man to obviously bring the transfers in. So it may not be that we're working on one at a time, but I certainly think he was thinking about every deal from a money-making point of view as opposed to what was going to be right for the club. But then I also think the club don't want to be held at ransom for Paul Pogba. Need to sell him. No one could afford him. I think we knew quite early on, even though Pogba wanted to go, we were going to keep him, so they weren't going to go and look for a replacement for him in that window. But that's not to say that they're not going to be looking for a replacement for him now, because I do think he'll go next summer. There's no way that he's going to stay next year unless we offer him a stupid contract, which is against what we're trying to do in the first place.
Yeah.
If you were to ask me in the summer what I wanted, we wanted a right back and we wanted a centre back, and we got them. And I think that's where the money had to come in first. And I think they also had to concentrate on keeping David De Gea, make that back defensive line solid and keep it solid. I think the next window, whether it be January or next summer, has to be investment in the midfield, and we have to buy a very, very talented centre forward who wants to come and play for us. That has to be the priority.
Yep, absolutely. Andrew, got any thoughts on that one?
I'm just gonna simply agree, because I mean, there's no point in running around the same thoughts, because you guys all know how I feel about our board and there's so much ineptitude. It's ridiculous.
Okay, well, let's wrap it up there then. I think that's been a good show this week. Andrew, thank you for joining us again as usual. Do you want to give out your Twitter details and any other websites and YouTube channels and what have you that you want to...
Yeah. Go
on, go for it.
For sure. At Red on Twitter. If you guys can also find my YouTube link in my description if you follow me. It's pretty simple. So we'll just go with that.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And Martin, thank you for joining us this week as well. Would you like to give out your details?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me again. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can find me at Martin H. Peart.
Excellent. And you can find links to Andrew's and Martin's Twitter accounts, websites, YouTube channels, and whatever it is they've got. It will be in the description on the YouTube video. You should also see it in the description of your podcast apps, whether it's Apple, Android apps, wherever you're listening. In the description, if it allows for the full description, you should see all the links in there, including my Twitter account at Paul Gardiner MU, the Talking Manchester United podcast account, which is at Talking MU Pod. Obviously, we do have a YouTube channel, Talking Manchester United. The podcast goes up on there as well. So if you would like to listen on YouTube, please subscribe, like, and give us some comments as well. Give us some feedback. And I want to say thank you as well to those of you that have joined us in the Discord chat this evening. It's been good to have your input as well. Just adds an extra dimension to the podcast. So we will wrap it up there. We will be back next week, hopefully on Tuesday. Hopefully Andrew and Martin, and maybe even Matthew can join in as well. Will you two be free? Do you know?
At the moment, it should be.
Yeah, it should be. I'll see how my weekend goes, and how Brexit's going.
Yeah, all depends on that. And Andrew?
I should be. I mean, barring anything crazy happening, I'm supposed to be home. In fact, I'm not even supposed to be home. I am home, and then, I mean, just as a shout out to Phoenix Rising, and I'm actually going to their charity ball that they're putting on. It's a really nice dinner it's an expensive dinner that I paid to go for. I won't get into financial details or anything, but I'm doing that on Thursday, so I'm really excited for that. So
awesome! I bet
Tuesday,
you are. Fantastic. Well, again, thank you for joining us, and everyone for listening. Until next time.